It is the Sports Fix here on Flow FM, and let's take a look now at Hume netball from last weekend. Lots of very interesting results there. And joining me on the line, I imagine, a pretty happy Carla from Hume netball. How are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks, Jason. How are you? It's a bit cold down here, so trying to stay warm.
I don't think there's anywhere in our Flow network at the moment that isn't cold. It's been a very, very chilly week, the first real bite of winter, I guess we could say.
I think so. It's winter started with a vengeance, so hopefully, the next couple of months go a little bit quickly.
Yes, let's hope so. But good win on the weekend for Lockhart. They won't mind the cool conditions. They took on the Billabong Crows and beat them in a really important game, this one. Beat them by 6 goals in the end, 53-47. Excellent game.
Yeah, look, the Demons had a really good start. They came out firing and they had a 6-goal lead at quarter time. And for the rest of the game, it was fairly even for the 3 quarters. But look, I think Lockhart's lead at quarter time was the eventual winning margin for the game. So, I think some of those top sides, they really need to start strong and come up really fast because it looks like that's the key at the moment. Some great contests in both goal circles with the combinations of Emily McPherson and Olivia Lang for Lockhart. And, of course, Crows, Ricky Robb and Bethany Maloney, they all played really well and shot some beautiful goals. And the best players for the Demons were one of their defenders, Carly Pierce, and again, Beck Matthews in the midcourt.
Yeah, you mentioned there the quick start from Lockhart. They led by 6 goals at quarter time, and that's what they won by. So that tells you all you need to know right there, right?
Yeah, well, that's right. And a lot of those top teams are really trying to come out fast in the first quarter, and then they just keep building on from that during the rest of the game.
Yep, well, Osborne did that. They started pretty quickly against Henty, and they were pretty good in every quarter, let's be honest. They towered up the poor old Henty 72-16. We did kind of expect a scoreline similar to this, but when you actually see it, it must be hard going for the Henty crew at the moment.
Yeah, look, Osborne had quite a good convincing win against Henty. And although Henty managed to string together some nice passages of play throughout the game, really tough coming up against Osborne because they're trying to build their percentage and keep their momentum going. And Osborne were really happy with their efforts for the full 4 quarters. And their awards went to Lucy Bennett and Gabby O'Connell. And look, I think some of the defenders for Henty would have had a really tough game. Rachel Turlick, they would have just kept working hard to just try and combat the Osborne shooters. But as I said, Osborne have had a pretty good scoring win on Saturday.
19 goals to 2 in the second quarter tells the tale of the tape. They were in good nick, the Osborne crew. Moving on to other games. Colcan taking on Randwill Bundry Waller. And Colcan, I made this call earlier in the week. They get towed up by teams above them, but when they play teams below them on the ladder, they do the toweling up, 58-25.
Yeah, they're playing some really nice netball, and they came out firing with a really, really strong first quarter. They're fairly fit, and their shooters, Andrea Wendt and Rachel Hensel, they just dominated in goals with a really strong lead at the beginning of the game. And unfortunately, the Giants were struggling to get back into the game because of Colcan's defensive pressure all over the court and heaps of intercepts from the Colcan girls, and they're quite fast as well. And it was a pretty massive team effort across the board with everyone playing their role and supporting each other. So it was a really good game to watch as well. Colcan's best players were Andrea Wendt, Olivia Brunner and Bridie Hoffman, while for Randwill Bundry Waller, Brianna Higgins and Courtney Tressown received their awards.
All right. Gindera, it was the Bulldog girls taking on the Murray Magpies, and boy, 33-goal winners here, Gindera. They did this very, very well, although the Murray Magpies had the run, well, I won't say the run of play, but they were competitive in the second and third quarters, but it was the bookends that blew them away. 10 goals at quarter time, and then they got hold of them again in the last.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Magpies were down 2 key players, one up either end in the defence and the shooting. And it looks like the Ginger shooters, Daria Brook and Chelsea Burns, put on an impressive display of shooting, especially in the last half there. Chelsea Burns collected one of their awards and the other one going to their consistent defender in Shana Holland for Gindra. And best players for the Magpies were Gabby Robinson and their coach, Kira Nicholson.
All right. Holbrook took on CDHBU, and the Holbrook girls had their second win in a row and did this very, very easily in the end. 14 goals. Good win for them.
Yeah, I think Holbrook is starting to get it together, and they've been missing quite a few key players over the last seven weeks. So hopefully they're building their team and all their players are getting back on board. So best players for CDHBU were Rachel Hanrahan, Laura Duncan and Chloe Gilchrist, while Holbrook's Olivia Hearn and Claire Marriott were best players for Holbrook.
All right. Now, let's take a look at Holbrook. How long? We just looked at Holbrook. How long? They took on the Brockburham Saints and doubled their score, I guess. So it's a pretty comfortable 27-goal win in the end for How Long against the Saints. But they didn't have it all their own way in this game.
No, look, the Saints went down to How Long. And despite the score, those watching, they thought it was a pretty great contest and they really made How Long work hard over the 4 quarters. BBC's best players for the day were Mim Johnson and Brittany Williams and also Rachel Kazitsky. Had a great game on the day. And Kirby McDonald playing in centre and Abby Lishke goal defence were best players for How Long. Down at How Long, they also had their annual Odd Socks round and they raised over $5,000 for the Albury Wodonga Headspace. So it's, a pretty special day for How Long and they do a really great job and everyone thanks them for all their support and towards the headspace over at Albury and Wodonga.
Yeah, they do a fantastic job with that. I've seen some photos of the girls rocking their odd socks, and there was some odd socks amongst them. That's probably a polite way of putting it.
Yeah, well, that's right. No, it's a pretty special day, and it's in memory of one of the former players out there at How Long, and it's a great day. We were involved in it last year, and it's really special for everyone to be involved in that.
Yeah. Let's check the ladder before we have a look at who's playing who this week. Obviously at the top now, Osborne joined by Jindera on 7 wins and 1 loss. So those two sides clear it out on top. It's Osborne with a percentage gap of about 22%. Might seem like a lot, but we're only 8 games in. So it's probably the equivalent of 40 to 50 goals, which can be made up pretty quickly. Inside a couple of games. So not much in it between those two. The Billabong Crows, How Long and Lockhart all locked together on 6 wins and 2 losses. And those three there, or that top 5 in the end, they're going to have to sort themselves out. I think we're going to find out a little bit more about these 5 teams over the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think so. And just depending on how the draw goes in the next few weeks, who's playing who. So it'll be very interesting. But I'm sure all those top 5 teams are wanting to keep boosting up their percentage because that'll certainly change their positions on the ladder.
No doubt that's going to play a big role. Colcan are a game further back, 5 wins, 3 losses. So they're on 20 premiership points, rounding out the top 6. And then we've got ourselves a little gap to the next 6. So the Murray Magpies and Randall Bundry Waller are both on 3 wins, and I'm tipping that both of those sides would be a little disappointed where they're sitting right now.
Yeah, look, they've over the years they've always been up in the top 6, and it just depends on your player movement during the season and how you build together as a team, and I think sicknesses and COVID and all of those things, injuries over the last few weeks, it'll take a few teams a few weeks to get sorted, but unfortunately, it's getting nearly past halfway now. So, we haven't. A lot of those teams don't have a lot on their side, a lot of time on their side. Sorry.
No, that's true. CDHBU and Holbrook certainly don't. Holbrook started the year with 6 consecutive losses and now they've won 2 in a row. So at least they're heading in the right direction. But CDHBU, I don't know where they're at the moment. They're 9th on the ladder. The Saints have had 1 win to be 11th and Henty are yet to break their duck. And let's be honest, they don't really look like breaking their duck at the moment. They're just struggling a little bit at the moment. Henty?
Yeah, but you never know. They keep turning up and they keep trying some plays, and you never know. They've got to be there to win, and the other teams can't take anyone for granted.
That's
as
true.
we saw last weekend. Yeah.
Yep, that's true. Well, Henty will get another chance this weekend. They'll take on Lockhart, though. A tough ask. Henty will be at home at least, but Lockhart will start raging favourites to win that one.
Yeah, I think so. Lockhart are pretty keen to keep going, and as I said, you need to really start every game as best as you can. Come out first centre pass and score as many goals as you can, and hopefully boost their percentage. So I think Lockhart will take the 4 points on the weekend.
The match of the round, though, will be at Urana, where the Billabong Crows will do the hosting, and they will welcome Howlong to town. These are two sides in that logjam on 24 premiership points. But a really important game for both clubs.
Yeah, and look, Howlong's playing some really nice netball really consistently, and so are the Crows. The Crows, they've had a couple of top teams, and they've still got another one to go next week. Unfortunately, hopefully, Ricky Robb is okay and she can take the court. She's a pretty key player for the Crows, but I think maybe Howlong might take the 4 points. I'll be pretty keen for that after their good win against Osborne a few weeks ago. But both teams will have to just come out from the get-go and keep going. So, but I think Howlong might just do it.
Okay. Here's a really important game as well for both of these two clubs. So we've got Colcan, who are holding down 6th spot at the moment, and a nice little gap between the two teams that are sitting in 7th and 8th. They've got Holbrook, who've won 2 games on the trot now after a slowish start. They're better than where they sit at the moment on the ladder, Holbrook, I think. So this is an interesting game.
Yeah, I think, it's a bit... We don't know what Holbrook can do when they've got their full strength. And Colcan, as you said, they've been having some great wins down in some of those lower teams. But Holbrook's very competitive. Both of them actually are very competitive. They're close neighbours. So it'll be a really interesting outcome on the weekend. But I think Colcan might continue on their way and take home the 4 points.
Righto. Now, the CDHBU, they're at home at Careen. They welcome the top side Osborne to town. And poor old CDHBU at the moment, they're in no man's land. They're not really challenging for a finals berth. They're not the worst team in the competition, but yeah, that dreaded no man's land is hard to break free from.
Yeah, it's pretty hard, and I think I think a lot of clubs are feeling it's been a really long season because we didn't have finals last year, so we feel like we're still going from last year actually. But look, I think Osborne they know what it feels like to lose, and I don't think they're going to let this one go at all. And I think they'll be also boosting up their percentage as well and try and make that gap between first and second a little bit bigger. So I'm going for Osborne on the weekend.
All right. Now, the Murray Magpies and Randall Bundry Waller Giants. This is a massive game for both of these teams. I honestly don't think the loser of this game can make the finals. I think the winner of this game just tacks back on, or at least gives themselves a chance to make a late run at 6th spot perhaps. But it's getting tougher by the week for these two sides. There's a 2-game gap between them and a finals berth, and lose here and that gap all of a sudden becomes 3 games, which I think is a bridge too far.
Yeah, look, they both had disappointing losses last week, and depending on whether both teams are at full strength, I think this will be quite a competitive game, actually. And, the Giants are pretty good. Mel McClellan, she's reliable in the goals, and also some of the Magpies defenders will work really hard in Hannah Razai. So I think this outcome of this game will be quite interesting. I'm not sure who to go for here. Maybe I'll go with Magpies because they're playing at home.
Fair enough. Brock Burham are playing at home, but I don't think either of us will be going for them to win their game this week because Jindera come to town. They're the equal top side, only second on percentage, and they will start pretty warm favourites to win that one.
Yeah, I think so. And, as each quarter goes along, Jindera looks like they're just getting stronger and stronger. They do start off fairly well, but they also bring the goal scoring in at the end of the game. And I think they'll win quite easily on Saturday against the Saints.
All right. And there it is. That is in Hume Netball round 9 of matches, which is the halfway point. So we'll be at the halfway mark of the season after Saturday. Can you believe that?
I know it's going quite quick. Come back from, a few more weeks of school holidays, we come back and then we're nearly into finals time. So it just gets away really, really quickly. And I'm sure everyone will be looking forward to a bye in a couple of weeks. And, hopefully everyone stays dry on the weekend and warm.
That's going to be the key, isn't it? Stay warm out there, everyone.
Yeah.
You too, Carla, and we'll catch up with you again next week.
Thanks, Jason.